Hi guys, good to see you. If this is your first time here, welcome. It is Bold TV. In this channel, all I do is I do book reviews and some storytelling here and there. And last week, I touched a little bit on one of the projects I'm working on right now, and it's titled Inheriting Enemies. And the example I used is if you are friends with someone, maybe for a long time or short term, or colleague, if something goes wrong and you stop talking to that person or you stop avoiding that person, do you also tell your friends to also stop talking to that person? Or if you became an enemy with that person, do you also encourage, or you'll advise, or you'll rather your friends to also inherit your enemies, right? Okay, so it's a very interesting project that I'm working on, and very soon we'll start working on reviews on that, basically. And what else? So today, I'm just gonna do a get to know me. Like I have like a get to know me series, where once in a while I'll come in and I'll tell you guys about myself, and just blah blah blah, chit and chat. That's it. So I haven't done it for a long time, so I thought, why not? So today I'm just gonna do a get to know me series, but I live in Canada, obviously, and today I'm just gonna give you guys some, I don't know how to call it, facts about Canada. Like if you're an immigrant, things that you need to know, you need to know, and some of these facts are very true, and I'm gonna tell you guys, and also if you're planning to move into Canada, to have an idea of what to expect. Okay, and the first thing is snow. The stories about Canada being cold is very true. When I was in Kenya at one point planning my trip to Canada, and one of my teachers, he's actually British, from Manchester. And then, of course, he visited Canada a little bit, but he didn't really stay in Canada. So he was telling us how cold it is. So he was saying that you'll put on socks, you'll wear gloves, you'll put on winter jackets, you'll have, I don't know, a hat, all sorts of things. And when you go out, you are still cold. So we were just laughing, and I'm like, wow, this guy is lying. Canada can't be that cold. What do you mean minus something? There's no way a place will be this cold. No, God won't do that. So that was my reaction. I was like, no, Canada can't be a minus. God won't do that to Canada. And when I came to Canada, yeah, that was very true. It's very cold, and sometimes it gets up to minus 30. Is possible, and I guess some of these temperatures you can experience if you go to the moon. Yeah, it does get cold in Canada, and those stories are very true. So if you are coming to Canada, expect to be hit by the Canadian winter. Okay, and then the second thing that also I noticed when I came to Canada is jobs. When I first moved to Canada, I was in St. Catharines. It's I think few hours from the capital of Ontario, Toronto, where we call it Toronto. So so it was a small city. After graduation, after I graduated university, there were no jobs. Basically, I had to move to the city. It's not like there were no jobs. There are jobs, but just not a job that you think that will at least match or fit your qualifications, especially if you're coming from if you just graduated with a college or university. Some of the jobs that are available in small cities are mainly, there are few factory jobs, and also call center jobs, customer service, and of course working in the mall and those other things. Okay, so if you are coming into Canada, small cities, it's going to be very difficult to get jobs. Those stories are true. And the stories about saying, hearing that they might require a Canadian experience, that is also true. Those stories are very true. You cannot just go with an empty resume. They will expect you to have some sort of experience after living in Canada. So what I did is while I was at the university, actually I lived on campus. The first 2 weeks, I think after 2 weeks in Canada, I got a job at the school cafeteria, and I also got a job at Niagara Immigration, I think, and also there was another organization that was called the Niagara Regional Council, but I think the name is changed now. I was volunteering, actually, so I was working in the cafeteria, but I also had some volunteer jobs. So the plan was, after I graduate, so at least I'll have that Canadian experience. Okay, and what else? Qualifications. So if you are coming to Canada, if you already have a pre-existing qualifications, whether engineering, doctor, lawyer, or whatnot, chances are they might ask you to upgrade, or maybe they will want you to take some courses to match. That is very possible, and those stories are true. Some places, yes, they will require you to upgrade. If you're moving to Canada as a doctor, chances are they might also want you to upgrade that before getting into the system. Of course, if I'm not a professional, so there is no sources that I can tell you. Some of these things are my own experience and my friends' experience. So there's no reference that I can take you to. Those are just the word of mouth, okay? So don't rely on this video, but those are just personal experience. There is also stories, people talking about, in Canada it's very difficult to get promoted or to get higher up in position because of accent. There are some truth to this and there is none. Some people still get hired as managers, and I haven't heard of so many CEOs, but I'm sure they are there, that you won't get a job because of your accent. But in the larger scale, yes. Sometimes you might go into an interview, the moment they hear an accent, there is that unspoken silence. Sometimes they might think that based on your accent, you're probably dumb, you're stupid, you're not good enough. They might actually, not all, they might actually try to question whether you're going to be a good fit, right? So the stories about the accent, it is true, but it's not all companies. There are a lot of people that get hired and they have an accent, so that is not true, but there are some truths to that. That is based on some people that told me their personal experience. I also have one of my friends that we went to school together. She also said, she tested the system. She applied using her African name, and then she applied for a few jobs using English name. And she did get a lot of callback when she applied using her English name versus her African names. So if you're an African, you don't have to change your African name. But those are some of the things, realities that are here. Also, it is very important to be honest. And if you are hired to a job like here in Canada, please do a good job and, just give a good experience to the employees so that other people can also get a chance. This point doesn't make sense, so maybe I'll delete this video, I don't know. Anyways, and based on that, there are also accent classes. You'll find that in Canada, there are people that are offering courses for people to improve their accent, so that, you can speak and you will be understood, right? So the stories about accent classes, yes, those are true. There are accent classes in Canada. Actually, there is one accent classes not far away from where I live. There was a time we went for a walk and we saw that accent classes. I actually didn't believe that it's there, but yes, it's there. People do it to improve their accent. Racism, is it true there's racism in Canada? Yes. I cannot say Canada is a racist country, but yes. I keep a track of my racism. And 2022, I only had, out of the whole year, I faced racism only 3 times. So that is a really huge progress compared to 2020 and 2018. That's all, guys. That's all the video for today, and I'll see you all in the next one. Okay, guys, as I was saying about racism in Canada, so I still believe, I don't think Canada is a racist country per se. What you see more in Canada, at least my experience, is basically sometimes it's mainly stereotype, and at times it's lack of information, especially if you are living in a small town. But yeah, so most of the people that I know, most of the blacks or colored in Canada, I was just talking to a few people, and also to see how's their experience living in Canada as far as racism. So it's interesting. In Canada, it's more like the people here, they have come up with a way, especially the blacks in Canada, it's like they've come up with a way of not really normalizing racism, but they know how to read racism. So you can see it coming. So when you see it coming, you know what cover to take. I do have few people that I spoke with where I think one or two people that they said they ended up leaving their workplace because in everything they saw is they thought that their manager was racist. And they did not even go to HR like, hey, listen, I have this 1, 2, 3 proofs to tell you this is what is happening. Not all they did is just look for something else and left that job and moved to another job. And yeah, so most of them, they have come up with a way of, they know how to see racism and just to work around it or work away from it. Actually, there's a funny story. One of my friend, she's an executive. We met in Harvard when I had a program that I went to do in Harvard, a very short program, by the way. And she was saying that one day, she works as an executive here in Toronto. Her car broke down, and then she decided to take the streetcar. Streetcar is it's more like one of the convenient means of transportation within the city. So when she was just about to jump into the she actually had to walk few steps before getting into one of the streetcars, and she was just seeing someone begging by one of the cafe, and the person just looked up at her. Their eyes met, and the person told her, "Look at you, go back to your country, go back to your country. Why is it?" And then she tried to have a conversation, but the person was persistent. She's in the medical field, so she wanted to know, or rather, to try to understand if the person is mentally unstable or whatnot. And she realized that no, the person's faculties are all there. The person is a homeless, but the homeless is telling an executive to go back to their country. And then when we were having a conversation one time at the having a coffee. Well, I don't really drink coffee, I drink tea. But we went to a coffee place just to chill and try to I guess catch up. And then she was telling me like, oh my God, I cannot believe this country. I'm an executive, I have all this degree, I did everything, but looks like it's not enough. It's just like my color seemed to pull me back. It was so hilarious. Like you can imagine an executive, and a black executive working and making more than 6 figures, and a homeless telling her you need to go back to your country, right? And some of the people, and she was saying that some of the people at the cafe were telling her, what, sorry, we apologize, don't pay attention, don't pay attention to him, not everyone is like that. So those are some of the things that you'll come across. The racism here is quite mild. It's not that much on your face. But again, for me, based on my experience, I don't see it as mostly racism. Part of it were mainly stereotypes and a lack of information. I always tell people this. When I first came to Canada, actually at the university, some of the students were asking me like, oh, you came from Africa. Wow, so that means you guys were really suffering and just dying of hunger. Did you have mattress to sleep on? So that is a university student asking me that question. So I didn't know how to answer because it was like, are you serious? Are you really serious? Right? But this you'll come across ignorant and stereotype. That's my opinion. But some people might say, it is racism. I did come across racism head on, and I can identify that yes, that is racism. Only three times in the whole of 2022. I'm just hoping that I have to stop counting one day that is not going to be a thing anymore. But I like to keep track just to see and also to understand my environment. Like, are we learning? Is the stereotype going down? What's going on? What do we need to do so that we can coexist, so we don't look at so much on the color of someone's skin, right? But yeah, so the question about racism, yes, there is racism in Canada, but it's quite mild and it's not on your face. But in my opinion, I still don't think Canada is a racist country. What I've come across mainly in Canada is the stereotype and also lack of information. And I can add that maybe most people can agree. I think the media has done a really good job of misleading not only Canadian, most people in the Western world as far as African countries are concerned. I grew up, I lived in Kenya. There was never a major civil war in Kenya per se. But if you say you are from Africa, the first thing that comes in someone's mind is, yeah, you are moving here, you are probably starving, you are dying of hunger, and that's why you're coming to Canada to eat, right? So those type of stereotypes are there, and expect for people to ask you dumb questions, thinking that you are living with lions and whatnot. Those stereotypes are still there in 2023. Yeah, so that's all I have to say. Oh my God, this is a very long video. Anyways, that's about it, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.